Hello again. For obvious reasons, I'm always interested in anything which relates to the perils and pitfalls of being a YouTuber. And if ever a case fell into that category, it is the one being prosecuted against Alex Belfield, who has hundreds of thousands of subscribers on his YouTube channel. He also has a career as a comic, working the music halls in provincial towns. His flamboyant manner puts one very much in mind of the late Max Miller, the original cheeky chappie. Belfield has chronicled his legal struggles in such relentless detail that I feel almost a personal interest in what is going on, although I have not actually met the fellow. One thing which I find especially intriguing is that from what he says in his latest video, he is determined to be accepted as a journalist, and it appears that the police are reluctant to acknowledge that he actually is one. I'm not entirely sure that being regarded as a journalist is a desirable thing for most of us. I've written for most of the national newspapers. I give a link to an old piece of mine from the Daily Express in the description to this video. But I wouldn't say this makes me a journalist, nor do I think that running this channel really makes me a journalist either. It's not so very long ago that Alex Belfield himself was scornful of the idea that he might be a journalist. As late as 2011, he said quite definitely on his Facebook page that "I'm not a journalist, never have been, and frankly don't want to be." On his latest video, though, to which I provide a link in the description to this video, he says that he's been a journalist for 25 years. This is odd. Perhaps he's simply been very busy and packed 25 years worth of journalism into the 11 years since he made that statement. I think I can see why there is this emphasis on journalism. It is perhaps because journalists are seen to have a certain amount of license and are able to talk about people and discuss their lives in a way in which a private individual doing the same thing might seem to be a little impertinent or to have an unusual interest in the matter. That's only a guess, mind. The other reason, I suppose, making sure that he is seen as a journalist is that from what he says on YouTube and Twitter, Belfield intends to broadcast a running commentary on his own trial. I have never in all my life heard of such a thing happening before, and it'll be interesting to see how this works out. I can certainly remember journalists being on trial before now, but none of them commented day by day on their own cases. I remember when Jonathan Aikins was on trial, this was a long time ago, the end of the Biafran War, 1970 I think, following an article in the Daily Telegraph about the war in Biafra and Britain's collusion with the federal government. It was a case under the Official Secrets Act. He certainly didn't write a report about his trial every day in the Telegraph, though. This, if nothing else, makes the case well worth watching. For whatever the outcome, it's going to be a first in that sense and perhaps a harbinger of things to come in the digital age.